Good morning, YouTube. Today, I want to talk about why my opinion of McLarens has changed. Well, sort of.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan, this is my garage, and this channel is all about the supercar ownership experience. And one of the things that's been a consistent theme in my channel is that, well, I've kind of crapped on McLarens a lot.
Welcome to All Things Scottish. Our slogan is, if it's no Scottish, it's crap!
And I feel like I need to retract the crapping and maybe make it a softer crapping or slightly less stinky crapping, because McLarens aren't as bad as I initially thought, and I want to explain why, but at the same time, I think they're not everything that they might be as well. So let's talk about that in just a second, but real quick, if you want to support us, please like, share, and subscribe, hit the notification bell, yada, yada, yada. Visit normalguysupercar.com, buy your parts from us. We appreciate all those things. Okay, got that out of the way. Let's talk about McLarens and my opinion of them. All right, YouTube, for the longtime subscribers of this channel, you know that I am a diehard Ferrari fan. I love Ferraris, and I do think that they are pretty much the best car brand ever. But at the same time, my opinion on McLarens has softened, and I would even consider owning one now, which just saying that is just, you know, what?
You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take it away!
I would never have said that a year ago. So why did my opinion of McLarens change? Well, let's talk about that. So first of all, a few things have happened. Number one, we've bought 2 McLarens for our dealership, and so I got to experience them a little bit more than I have in the past. So I've reviewed lots of McLarens. I've driven MP412Cs before. I drove a 600 LT, 720S, 570S, quite a few different McLarens, and my opinion of them was pretty consistently like, they are amazing cars, but I didn't really quite like them. I think some of the things that I don't like about them is valid. So for example, I still feel like the steering is just a little bit numb. It's not that it's not precise, it's extremely precise, very good handling. You just don't get much feedback, and that's one of those things that just kind of bothers me. But at the same time, it's not a deal breaker. Those cars are fantastic handling cars, crazy fast, just acceleration is just outrageous. And then of course, there is the whole sound issue, which I'm a big proponent of having an amazing sound come out of your car. After all, you only have 5 senses, and if you lose the sound component of it, well, you're losing one of the primary aspects of how you experience these cars. Now, I will say that you can make McLarens sound incredible. But from the factory, they're a little bit boring. It's just, it could be a little more, you know, and give it a little more pizzazz. But the same is true of most of the Ferraris. Most of the Ferraris from the factory now aren't really that exciting, including, of course, any of the turbo Ferraris. The turbos really changed the sound of those cars and made it so that they're, well, just not quite as awesome as they used to be. But that's not to say that you can't make them sound incredible, both the Ferraris and McLarens. Either way, you're gonna want an aftermarket exhaust, and of course, just like a self-shameless plug, you can buy exhaust for Ferraris, McLarens, Lamborghinis, even Porsches, and most brands of cars through us, so check us out. Email us sales@normalguysupercar.com if you want to get us a custom quote. That's the best way to get a best price on exhaust. So what else changed? Well, I, as a human being and as a YouTuber, have grown. I feel like my worldview has expanded. It's easy in life to say you really like the thing that you own. For the longest time, I only owned a Ferrari, and then I bought a second Ferrari. 5+ years, all I personally owned was Ferraris. Then, as I kind of got more and more into the YouTube channel, I got to experience more cars. I got to drive and review other people's cars, and I got to work on a bunch of different cars, and we moved on from just doing Ferraris to now we started working on some Lamborghinis, and then of course we've worked on some McLarens now. So we also bought some Lamborghinis and we bought some McLarens for the dealership, and we really got to experience them on a longer duration. So one of the things that evolved is my personal thinking about cars expanded from just my view of how I like the car versus how the car is. I kind of was able to step out of my own biases, whatever, my own bias. And I'm not saying that I'm not biased, I'm saying that I'm trying to eliminate as much of my own bias as possible and realize that there's a lot of people who have varying takes on cars, and just because my personal opinion on it is different than theirs doesn't mean that that's necessarily a wrong opinion. As you know, one of the ways that you can broaden your own personal worldview is to experience things that you disagree with, or to have discussions about things that you disagree with. And I felt like that happened more and more by experiencing these cars that I was disagreeing with. That in turn started opening my own worldview. And the more I could get out of my own way and say, you know, yes, I really love Ferraris, but there are a lot of really positive things about the McLaren. And the same goes true for some of these other brands too, but we're really picking on McLaren, so that's the thing.
Hello.
Hi.
Sorry.
Hi, Mo. What you doing? You checking out the new garage? Yeah? What do you think? What do you think of the new garage? Huh? Yeah. It's a lot more space. No leaves, though. You're going to have to find some leaves, all right? Sorry. So what I'm really saying is, I think I've grown as a person, and I can really start to appreciate all these different brands because they all have positive merits. Let's be real. All of these cars at this caliber are all pretty impressive. I mean, really, they truly are. They have pluses and minuses. Now, here's where the sort of part of my opinion has changed. One of the most common themes that people discuss about McLarens is the reliability. Here's what I'm going to say about that is I think that they've gotten an oversell on the unreliable part. I think people have really been excessively hard on them. The reality is they're much more reliable than people think because there's an awful lot of McLarens running around. They have 30, 40, 50, even 60,000 miles on them, and they're running just fine. If they were that unreliable, it seems like no one's going to keep throwing money at these cars that are just constantly breaking down. So is it true that they're unreliable, or is it more they just kind of needed to be figured out and understood? There are certain things that go wrong with McLarens that are kind of becoming well known now. So you can either preventively take care of them, or as soon as they do break, you know how to fix them. So a great example is the coolant hoses on pretty much all of the 12Cs and 650s apparently break. Like they either break or the clamp comes loose or whatever. Anyway, they end up peeing out their coolant and having a problem with that. Great example is the 650 we just sold had a coolant leak when we bought it. We fixed that coolant leak. We thrashed the car for about 1,000 miles. We sold it. Customer calls us 2 days after he bought it, and it burst a coolant line. So it's like, at the same time, people just kind of ignore the fact that pretty much every single F430 on Earth is going to have the headers crack. What I'm saying is, I think the reliability of all these cars is all subject to, well, they're not all perfectly reliable. And even all the Porsche people are going to jump on the bandwagon and say, well, my Porsche doesn't break. Porsches break too. We don't need to go into the IMS bearing thing. We don't need to talk about the fact that Adam's Porsche has the engine out because of an oil leak. All I'm saying is all of these cars all are subject to maintenance and issues and can break. I think the reliability thing is, yes, McLarens generally are not going to be as reliable as a modern Ferrari, but are they horrifically unreliable and you're going to be constantly broken down on the side of the road? No, I don't think that's true. That's where my sort of comes in, is I think there's a asterisk or a caveat to most of these things, which is you have to, it just kind of depends, and you have to take everything with a grain of salt. So basically, what I'm getting at is, I think if you've had your heart set on a McLaren, or a Ferrari, or a Lamborghini, or a Porsche, or even a fill in the blank, you really got to do your homework, understand what you're getting into, and then accept that there are going to be flaws and there's going to be other things that are near perfect. And all of that combines into the experience of owning that car. And if you're educated about it and know what you're getting into, then it won't be a big surprise, and hopefully you will have a better experience and enjoy it. And that's what it really comes down to, is all of these cars are about having an enjoyable, fun experience. So making sure that you can do that for yourself is key. Momo, what you doing? You're not sure yet? Okay. So I gotta say, it's interesting, but you have to have a little bit of a self-actualization where you step out of your own opinion and kind of think about it. I'm in a weird and fortunate position where the YouTube channel combined with our dealership has empowered me to go see all these cars. It's been a fascinating experience because I've personally learned a lot and I've shaped my own opinions differently, and they've totally evolved because of it. Because otherwise, if this had never happened, I'd probably just be a Ferrari diehard and Everything else is crap.
Rest assured that I was on the internet within minutes, registering my disgust throughout the world.
Hey, I know it wasn't great, but what right do you have to complain?
As a loyal viewer, I feel they owe me.
What?
Don't get me wrong, I love Ferraris. They are amazing cars, but so are these other cars. They're really good. So we could use your support. Please like, share, and subscribe. That really, truly does help us out. Mo wants you to. He says subscribe. Paul that subscribe button. Something cheesy like that. Go visit normalguysupercar.com. Go check out the dealership, ngsupercars.com. But we're going to be doing a lot of cool car stuff, so you should subscribe and stay tuned, because it's going to be sweet.